Hello and welcome. In the spirit of my brand new book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, I've been on a quest for truth. What does it actually take to create real, lasting transformation? And here you are on the precipice of something big. I don't think that's a coincidence that we should ignore. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. This is where true growth and transformation happens because sometimes it's about your mindset. You're working on your thoughts and your beliefs. Sometimes it's about connecting deeper with your body. Sometimes it's stepping into success and rewiring yourself for wealth. And sometimes it's a spiritual one. But when the right person says the right thing at the right time and it all clicks, those are the moments that make all the difference. And that is what this summit is here for. You're going to hear from some incredible experts who every single one I personally invited to be here because each of them have made an impact in my life. So listen with an open heart, do what they say, take what resonates, try the practices, get their free gifts, and let this space be the place where you find your next step. My name is Talia Joy. I'm your host. And if you want all the free gifts, the resources, and the only place where you can be entered for prizes, you can join the Insider Circle for free below. All right, without further ado, take a deep breath in. Think about what you are transforming, what you are here for. And let's dive into today's episode. Hello, Nick. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. I'm so excited you're here. How are you doing today, my friend?
I am honored to be here with you. You know that I love, with a capital L, capital O, capital V, capital E, talking to you, with you, sharing space with you is powerful just by being in your presence. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Aw, thank you. I love that you did it all in caps too. I was dancing capital L, capital O. Oh, I love it. Yes, this is going to be such a good conversation. I'm honored to talk today and to pick your brain and to talk about storytelling and owning who we are and owning our story and the scars we have and the path we've, that we've gone through. And whether you have a business or not, there's going to be so many the gems in here about really stepping into this expansion. So I'm so happy you're here. And let's just start with, if there's anyone, I feel like by now, everybody, it's like, oh, Nick's back. All right. You rent a room on the show. But if anybody has not heard of you or your work, let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my background is Broadway and filmmaking. I'm a storyteller at heart. He's also a coach to help people. And I'm a professional speaker to help people share their stories and get on stages. And that's really what I do. But this weekend, I had a live event and one of the participants said to me, "Oh, I thought this was going to be about messaging. I thought this was going to be about my business. But my takeaway is really that I'm walking away as more of myself, as a better human walking this planet." And that's really at the core of what I help people do, that I work with people, is that they can be so fully themselves that the world is just attracted to them, that great things happen for them, to them, because they are who they truly are.
That's so powerful. And there's so many, business things I've gone into to learn a strategy and I come out, I unraveled who I am or, healing so much and storytelling. I hear you in that. And that's such a transformative experience. And I know I'm just learning this more and more all the time. So let's just start at the beginning, like in your life and in your journey. First of all, why is storytelling so important when it comes to business or in our life? And how was it transformational for you to really, step into your own story?
Well, I think there's a great vulnerability in storytelling, particularly when you're sharing your own story. They often say, being on stage, public speaking is the hardest thing to do in the world. Well, the hardest thing is not to get on stage and speak. The hardest thing is to be truly vulnerable, to share. But what happens when you share is there is this great connection that you form with another human. When people can see themselves through you, that's when this magic happens between us. I think now more than ever, we're in this with the advent of AI, we're moving into a place where realness, humanness is going to be so important. And we are most human through our story, through our lived experience, and through our shared lived experience. And by sharing who you are with people and what you've been through, it shines this light for others to say, to have recognition, that's me, or that's like me, or oh my gosh, they're already been through, in business terms, they've already been through what I'm currently going through. Wow, I have a feeling that they can help me. In terms of my own journey, I was a young kid who used to hop up on the table and share stories for everyone in the neighborhood. I had shows that I put on, and my mother would basically say I was a born storyteller, but I was also a born teacher. So it was this really interesting combination that I would play school and I would also play shows and share stories. And as I got older, however, I learned to mask. I learned that being myself I was too much, too big, too shiny, too bright, you name it. And I began to dim that light and not really share my true self. I would share parts of myself that I thought others wanted. And over years of everything from therapy, yoga, meditation, you name the tool, you name the modality, sweat lodge, you name it. I tried it. I did it to sort of remove those masks. And it took a lot of work, to be honest, to be able to come to a place where I was able to fully tell truth. And I think that that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's really about, is, are you sharing your truth with the world? We can see bullshit a mile away these days. So are you really sharing who you truly are with the world?
Yeah, that it's so powerful. And just hearing your story, I know that everybody can relate, and I can relate. It's like, you're too this, you're too that. I was too sensitive, too like left-handed and different, and learning to be what other people wanted me to be. And I know that we can deeply relate to that, entrepreneurs or not. That's definitely something. So it's interesting because you were describing how when you tell your story, someone else almost creates that connection point with you. And, a lot of times we feel like we have to have this front, whether it is business or we're walking around, we're doing our kids' sports, or we're, in our community, and we feel like we have to be this front. Yet when we actually share in the right space what we've been through, that's what actually connects us, as you're saying. So it's almost ironic that we feel like we need to be palatable, yet when you don't learn anything about someone and it just really stays superficial, you don't have a connection. But it's when you're sitting, waiting for something, and you share a story, or someone shares with you something they're going through, now you instantly have that connection. So it's almost like, why do you feel that we feel that we need to be palatable, and how that's almost the part that keeps us disconnected from others, if there's a question in there?
Yeah, there is, for sure. Let me start with this, that there's actual science behind this, neuroscience. That there's a study that Yuri Hassan did at Princeton University that found that a person that is sharing a story and a person that is listening, their brains actually sync. It's called neurocoupling. And storytelling, so far that they have found, is the only way that actually happens, that our brains actually sync. So it's not, are we connecting? We are connecting. We are 100% absolutely connecting. And storytelling is the only way that happens. Now, I actually believe it's a depth of storytelling that makes that happen, because there has never been more storytelling in the world than there is right now. I mean, there you flip on your social and you give it how many seconds? Not even just a flick. You're just using your finger. Swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. But that's a story, a story, a story, a story, a story. There's more channels than we've ever had before. And even in your daily life, you're gossiping, you're talking, that you're storytelling. We're storytelling the majority of our life. But is it a depth of story? Is it a story that's actually, like I said, from this truthful place? Does it have a bit of wisdom in it? Does it have something that is so deep into the depths of who you are that I can actually truly see you? Because you're connecting with people all the time as you're telling stories. But is that connection real, the real you? Or is it a version of you that you've decided, as you said, is palatable? And the world tells us, like it did me, who we're supposed to be. So suddenly those masks become the palatable version of who we are rather than the truth of who we are. Then we begin to attract people into our world that challenge that mask that become that version as well. So suddenly we're all living in this high level. High, and by high, I don't mean high vibration. I mean high out here, up here level versus a true depth of conversation and communication level, which is one of the reasons I adore you so much, because you always bring us back to the truth.
Aw, you. I'm like nodding and listening, and all of a sudden, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, it's so true. It's so, now I just went sideways with my emotions and my feels. Yeah, it's just that's so interesting about the coupling because there is, as you were describing that, I could feel it in my body of when someone's talking and it's something they say that I'm like, oh my God, they get me. It might be their life circumstance or the way they describe something they went through that I went through. And there is that coupling feeling. So it's so fascinating that there's science of, behind when we're storytelling, we actually do sync up and it makes us very real. And I think that's powerful. So I want to talk a little bit more about that depth because when you were talking about that, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's the difference between oversharing and depth of storytelling. So let's talk about that. Is it about just sharing everything or?
Yeah, I always say danger, Will Robinson, danger, or stranger danger. That's probably more accurate. Stranger danger that we don't want. There's sharing and then there's purging. And we all know the difference. Purging of yourself, which while it's important, and that's why somebody goes to a therapist, that's why you seek professional help, is when the story is about you, but it's not about something bigger than you. That it's not about, there isn't a wisdom in it. There isn't lived wisdom. People are interested in your story when you're on the other side, when there's wisdom to it. Now, you can share things that are happening as they're happening, but that's a very different than sharing a truth. There's what I call 5 layers of storytelling. The first layer is the physical layer. That's the sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. And honestly, that's what AI gives you. When you throw into ask for AI to write a story, it gives you this sort of basic level. What we think of storytelling as. Specificity of time, place, all of that is level 1, the physical. The second layer is really the emotional layer. What is the emotion in the story you're telling? And sometimes if we're oversharing, we're overly emotional. So we get to this place and we've all sensed it or felt it when somebody's so emotional as they're telling their story that it actually repels you. Rather than drawing you in, it actually repels you. The other opposite of that, extreme of that, is somebody who's telling the story, but they're telling it so robotic that you don't feel anything. What do you want the person that you're telling the story, whether that's for your business or personal, what do you want them to feel? That's the question to ask yourself. It's the energetics of the story that we're talking about. There's energy in story. When I tell a story that is fiercely angry, you sense an energy there versus something that's very soft and kind, right? There, you can tell within the story, there's an energy to the story. So that's the second layer. The third is the mental layer. And in the mental layer, it's the questions that you're asking. What are the questions that your audience member might be asking themselves or the person you're sharing the story? Call them out. Use dialogue in your story. Notice when I was sharing the stories earlier, I constantly would say, she said, and then I would say what they said. Because dialogue brings your stories to life. It creates characters in your story. I might say, Talia said, hey, Nick, will you come on my podcast? Hey, Nick, will you come back and be a part of the summit? Notice how that brings that to life versus Talia told me that she wanted me to come on the podcast. Talia
Fun.
invited me to be on the summit.
Tune in
That,
now if you want to change your life.
yeah. Dialogue changes something from like a book report to an actual lived experience. So getting into the mind and the head, the mental is the third layer. Then the fourth layer is that wisdom that we were talking about. And I do mean every great story has a golden nugget of wisdom. It doesn't need to be a massive wisdom, but just some little wisdom in it that makes people go, "Oh, yeah, I see that. I hear that." The greatest stories from the beginning of time, parables. They were parables. That's how we communicated early on. We're in many ways coming back full circle. And then finally, the fifth layer, the top layer, is the universal truth layer. And that's when you go to a much deeper truth place. You can have wisdom and yet still not be in that depth of truth, that universal truth. We often say, as storytellers, we say that which is most deeply personal is most deeply universal. Because the more truthful you are, the more honest you are, the more it resonates with folks.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And, marketing wise, if you have a business, it just feels like instead of trying to catch a client with a net, like some strategy that's going to get them connecting from the heart, because I know people like you and I in our businesses, that's our clients anyway. Like
Yeah.
I'm connected to my clients. I care for them. It's a heart-based, yes, service-based, but it's about connecting. I don't want people that I don't feel connected to or they don't feel connected to me. So of course that's going to be a more potent strategy. And then even just personally, I think of in my personal life, I feel awkward socially. I'm not necessarily always comfortable. And so there's situations where I'm talking to other dance moms or whatever. And I find over time, the more I relax and then kind of share what I'm really thinking, then they're laughing. And I'm like, oh, they're not the only one who wishes they were home in their comfy pants right now. And they go, oh, thank God someone else wishes they were home in their comfy pants. And we're connecting. And then, of course, there's deeper storytelling there. But even just being real, it just instantly creates this which then I don't know, it's like I feel more seen. We're just deeper connection anyway. So I almost want to ask you, what is the connection around owning your story too, like personally owning what you've been through? Because some people listening, and we've all been through stuff, some people have been through things that maybe there's shame in there, and we're learning to heal through these things. So how does that come in, and truly owning our story as we share it?
Sharing your story reduces shame. It may start out and feel incredibly big and incredibly powerful and incredibly like overtaking almost. Like, I can't imagine sharing this. So start very small. It's telling one person. You don't have to get on the internet and tell the world, right? Tell one person. Maybe it's that person and that trusted person. And maybe it is somebody that's a professional, or maybe it's your bestie, or maybe whoever that is. When you start sharing that first story that feels so wide and so big, over time, the more you tell it, the less power in many ways it has over you. And suddenly you have power over it. Over time, we tell the stories. It's like a spiral. And you can't see me right now, but I'm taking my finger and I'm creating like a little circle, and it just spirals and spirals and spirals and spirals until the energy spirals out to nowhere, because the power, and then you create a new story. There's a new story to be had after that, because the power of story is that it's trapped in the body, and when you share it, when you connect with somebody else, it dissipates in the body and becomes into the ethers and part of the big landscape, the big, beautiful vision of the world. It becomes part of everything.
Damn. Keep going. Your story gets trapped in your body when you're not sharing it. Oh my goodness, that is so powerful.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons embodiment practices, and I know that you've done that in the last week and then this week too, are so important. That's why breath work, that's why movement, dance, what shakes it up in your body and allows you to release. That's why people want to purge. They go through holding it in, and then they get on stories. Speaking of stories, they even literally call something called stories on Instagram. They get into their stories and they start purging everything because they're finally ready to release it, but they're doing it in a way that repels us because they're literally purging it out of their body rather than allowing it to come over time out of their body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And in a business, I just find, for anybody that's hearing this and thinking like, I don't really want to, of course, you don't have to share anything you don't truly feel comfortable with. But I know with myself, I had an eating disorder, and you guys hear me say this in my past with an eating disorder, and we kind of just talk about it. But I remember being in it and having so much shame that nobody knew, like in my life,
Yeah.
maybe my bestie, but even people that didn't know, so much darkness that it's only through that sharing over time that now I can say it from a powerfully grounded and regulated place where I'm not in it anymore, and I don't have shame about it anymore. And so, as you're saying, Nick, sharing your story helps you to heal it. And then not only all the people that have ever reached out to me to say your eating disorder story resonated with me, that's just the cherry on the top because I have a business, but it is healing to share. And, I just would love to hear your words on that.
Well, not dissimilar. I was sexually abused as a kid, and I lived in so much shame around this for years and years and years and years and years. And then I began sharing with my best friend, with my therapist, and with those less close to me, and so on, to the point of creating a documentary about it. About body image, particularly in the LGBTQ community, but it was a personal doc of me sharing my story. And even then, at 45 years old, saying the words on camera, knowing that millions of people were going to hear it, my throat closed up. I had heart palpitations. So it's trapped in the body. And so I had to go through a process even to do that, even as somebody like me who's a professional storyteller, to share that story. But guess what? I did it. And guess what? I get emails, texts, DMs, like you said, from people saying, thank you. Thank you. I feel seen. I'm not too much. I wasn't lying. All of those things that I needed to hear at the time when I was going in it, they're now being able to say because of me sharing that really intimate story. And the same for you. You're being that beacon of light for people that had eating disorders, people that can connect with you because they see themselves in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I just went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I was all swelled up for a second. I'm like, yeah, it's so true. We feel not alone, and
Yeah.
we've kind of pointed to it a little bit, but you just help people to not feel alone, and you don't feel as alone. And I'm sure that you would reflect this as well. How many people, given or I've worked with a lot of people over the last 10, 12 years in direct mentorship and coaching and all that. And people sharing with me their story. It's shocking how many people have been through similar things. So
Yes.
looking at it on the back end, like I'm sure a therapist, a coach, people who help people, you hear these stories and it's almost more common than not, unfortunately. So even that, it gives me that view of, we do feel like we're unique. Nobody understands us. Yeah. Nobody has walked every single day in your shoes, but on that back end, it's incredible how many of you listening have been through similar things and that you would connect around those things if there was the space to tell the stories and have that.
Yeah. And I often say for those that say, I don't have the space, tell the story, create the space.
Mm.
Create the space.
Yeah.
Be the beacon. Be the beacon.
Yeah.
But there are spaces. As crazy as the internet is, as crazy as like there are spaces,
Mm-hmm.
right? They probably already exist. It's go find one that you trust, whether it's a coach, a therapist, or a group. Find the one that you trust to share your story. And if they're out there, because I know there are going to be people out there too that are like, I don't have that kind of story. I don't have that kind of story to share. Share your story. You don't have to have had this story or that story, but we all have some story.
Mm-hmm.
We've all experienced things. Nobody gets away, at a certain age anyway, unscathed in this life. It's not even possible because you're living life fully. It's not possible. So you've got a story in there to share that somebody else needs to hear. I know that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this. This is so powerful. And I truly thank you for the work that you do and the angle at which you help us, because this is deeply healing. You know, this is not just about business, even when someone's coming to you for their business. It's being seen, it's standing up, it's the healing work embodied, it's going after our dreams and not allowing that shame or that I'm too much to run the show and to block us ultimately, because this is a lifetime where we're fucking doing the thing. So
Do the thing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for this work. Thank you so much. So as we start wrapping up, is there anything unsaid? And why is sharing your story so transformative for the human and also for the entrepreneur?
I think is really transformative for you as a human first and foremost. That sounds like, oh, I'm selfish. Be selfish. Share your story because it's actually selfless in the end, because that connection that you can make, as we've been talking about, stories connect humans. Now more than ever, do we need that deep level of connection? So go share your story.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I was born in 19. I'm just kidding. Oh, not right now. I thought you meant right now. Sorry, guys. I was all ready to unload. All right. So thank you again, Nick. And let's talk about this free gift that you have for the community, as well as the prize that we're giving away this week. Share with us. What do you have for us?
So I've got for you, everyone, a storytelling starter kit. If you're like, I don't even know where to begin, particularly those of you with businesses, there's a slew of templates in there about your origin story, behind the scenes story, your vision story, your transformation story, among others. Plus, because I do so deeply believe in the body keeping the score, so to speak, there is a breathwork video for a short and effective breathwork practice, as well as a guided meditation for visibility. So when you do go to share your story, so when you're ready to share any story, however big or however small it feels, so that you feel fully embodied in who you are and that your nervous system is in a place that it's ready to share exactly who you are.
Amazing. I'm going to put that in the show notes. Of course, if you're part of the Insider Circle, it's already in your inbox. And we also have first of all, thank you for that generous gift. That sounds so powerful. And we also have a prize draw. Let us know what one person is winning. You are very lucky.
One person is winning my Story Selling Lab, which is a course on how to message your business, how to use storytelling in your business on all stages, from your email to your landing page to your podcast to your live stages, all phases of your business. And with that comes a year's worth. But wait, there's more. It sounded a bit like that all of a sudden. But wait, there's more.
Sunday.
A year's worth of group coaching, 2 group coaching calls a month for an entire year to get feedback on your story, plus additional trainings.
Wow, that is so powerful. Wow. Thank you so much. One person will be winning that. And I urge everybody to also grab the free gift from Nick. Thank you so much. I have a question. Does it slice and dice and sort your mail? Have you heard that? It slices, it dices, it sorts your mail.
It dices, it sorts your mail.
Are you tired of cutting tomatoes like this?
Oh gosh. You know what's interesting about that though? It's memorable.
Yeah.
Here we are repeating it, right? There's a message there. There's a story there. It might not be the one that feels authentic to us, but it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks again, Nick. This has been an amazing talk and conversation, and I'm so appreciative for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Transformation Summit. Make sure to take what this guest said, implement it into your life, check the show notes for their gift and to follow along on the journey, and make sure to tune in to the next guest episode. Namaste.